Hey guys, so our goal is to teach you how to move to the beat of your own drum. Okay, we're going into chapter 2 and it's called Old Fashioned. All right, thanks for being here. My father was old fashioned and had the view that a woman should take care of the home and the family. My father and Unc organized a wedding party in New Orleans for my father and his new wife. We called her Nanny. She was an Egyptian American and had a history degree. She was beautiful. She came as a package deal. She already had a son by another man. We called her son Little Baghdadi. A step grandma we called Siti. Nanny was beautiful. She had long black hair and dark, big brown eyes. She was extremely intelligent. When it was good in our family, it was really good. I'm sure a lot of you can say that too. But when things went bad, they went to hell, you know? This is all a part of the journey. And then this was my narrative. Narrator inserts. I pray for forgiveness for everyone in my life that caused me pain because I have forgiven everyone. Life is too short, and what truly matters is what happens to us when we leave this world, and God can only be the judge of that. Guys, for the first 6 months of this journey, I told myself that I forgive everyone, but in all actuality, I had so much resentment and the lack of clarity and unanswered things that I felt like I deserved the answer to. As we progress through this book, you're going to learn that there are a lot of things that you really don't need answers to. And once you truly are able to give complete control up to your higher power, to God, you find that inner peace that you truly have deserved and you've desired your entire life thus far. Even an answer or even if somebody comes your way and they want to give you clarification, that it becomes unimportant. It becomes just irrelevant because you're finally at peace. All right, so let's continue. But yeah, so I did hold the resentment, but as it got easier on my journey to really, the people that I was so upset with and so angry for leaving me and just abandoning me in my deepest, darkest times, I realized, were they ever really there? And this is what I need you to ask yourself. All these people in your life you've put so much hope and just faith into, but were they ever really honestly and truly there for you? We tend to put on this image, this hope towards people. We give them credit where it's not deserved because the wishes and the dreams that we wish that they were as humans, as individuals, we wish that that's how they were, when in actuality, that's not who they are. That's who we wish they were. Is it's false. So you have to look at people for who they really are and leave them there. And you're going to learn, for you to truly grow and heal, leave people where they are, because we all have our own path and our own journey, and sometimes it takes some of us, even our loved ones, longer to grow and to develop, and in a lot of cases they don't choose to grow or develop. They are comfortable living in their ways, and that's not your responsibility to change. You have got to focus on yourself, and this is why I'm here, because as I said, the first 6 months I tormented myself emotionally, and but in this journey, so many things, God showed me so many things that gave me hope to push through those negative feelings and the lack of clarity, to help me just to keep on going. And before too long, you're going to realize you don't need You don't need to be accepted by these people. What they're doing in their life is their business, it's not yours. Just focus on yourself. Because it gets better, it gets easier, and soon enough, these people you're not even going to think about them, you know? You're not going to think about them, not even once. Which is a good feeling. And to me, this is God protecting your heart. You know, your heart is being protected, and God has tremendously protected my heart and my feelings and my emotions throughout this whole journey. There were just so many things that I had to learn. It was necessary. All right, so here we go. I hope y'all have a notebook and a pen, because there's some good stuff in here that will get you set up for success on this crazy thing we call life. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. In the beginning of Nanny and my father's relationship, it was great. Everyone was healthy and looked amazing. My father still worked a lot, and we spent a lot of time in New Orleans at Siti's house. Siti and Nanny were trying to clean my brother and me up, discipline us because we weren't disciplined, and our father didn't have time to properly care for us because he was always working. We lost our mother and didn't really understand all the sudden changes that occurred around us. I could only imagine how little Baghdadi felt growing up without his father. His story was like ours. Nanny's first husband was an Egyptian who married her to gain citizenship into the United States. Many years later, I found out little Baghdadi's father was already married and had a whole separate family back in his hometown, Egypt. Little Baghdadi's father's scheme was to become a citizen of the U.S., then kidnap little Baghdadi. He tried getting on a plane with little Baghdadi, but when he was just a baby. But something happened and he couldn't get on the plane. Nanny caught him just in time and got her son back, thank God. The bond between little Baghdadi and his mother was beautiful and unbreakable. A love and relationship I wish I had with my mother. You know, as a child, I've always had the way that I think is so dreamy and so wishful and so, I wish, you know? But things happen the way that they did. Everything was divinely orchestrated. I have no regrets. I'm proud that I made it through, you know? All right, let's get on with the story. Okay. When little Baghdadi came of age, he finally went to Egypt and met his father and the rest of his family, and they all made amends right before little Baghdadi died a few years later. God rest his beautiful soul. We will talk about his tragedy later on. Little Baghdadi is my brother. I'll never forget him. But yeah, as I said, we will talk about that later on. My father, Siti, and Nanny got along in the beginning really well. Siti would cook Egyptian food every night that reminded my father about life back home with his family. And, let me change the page. Egypt. I knew my father missed... Hello, beautiful. No, I love you guys. I knew my father missed his family in Egypt, and at last our family started making my father feel at home. We united as a family. The older I become, the more I realized little Elmo and I weren't the easiest for the new family to mold. We'd been through a lot. You know, I can say this, guys, but the older that I get, I can honestly say my older brother and I were unique and misunderstood, you know? Our whole entire lives. We're not the only ones, though. You are too, probably, if you're watching this. But you are special. Special to me. Yeah. So, yeah, when I look back and I read this part in my book, it says we weren't the easiest for the new family to mold. That turns on a light switch in me. Why would you want to mold anyone into anything but who they are? I get the discipline and the cleanliness and the hygiene to teach us, but the way that I worded that in the beginning of the journey, I can look back at it and I see the difference in the way that I think, which is amazing. Growing up as a Muslim and living accordingly, okay, to the norms of the society was something that would take lots of time. We were already Muslims, though we were not practicing. My father was always at work and didn't have time to teach us. Little Baghdadi came first when it came to Siti. Siti was a die-hard Muslim. While we were in New Orleans, the first couple of years of my father and Annie's marriage, she literally shoved Islam down our throats. My brother, little Baghdadi, and I attended Muslim Sunday school and began learning to recite verses from the Quran. It got to the point that if we didn't have certain verses memorized, we weren't allowed to go anywhere with Nanny. We loved going places with her and little Baghdadi. At this time, we made a lot of friends and had kids our age to play with. Moreover, Nanny loved to shop, and she would buy me pretty outfits and do my hair in pigtails all the time. I absolutely loved it when she French braided my hair. These little memories, I did feel loved. As a child, all I wanted was some attention. And it feels good to remember these little things. I've been wanting someone to French braid my hair for the longest time. I might go to the beauty school down the road and get them to French braid it. I miss it. Nanny loved shopping, and sometimes she would buy things not because we needed them, but because they were on sale. She got some really good deals sometimes. She loved buying things for all of our family members in Egypt, and all of my cousins loved it. Nanny had one of the biggest hearts anyone could ever have. She just spent a lot of money, and I learned later on that it affected our financial security that my father worked so hard to maintain. And little Elmo and I really liked getting the Happy Meals with the toys in it. It most certainly beat the dinner we knew Siti had prepared for all of us upon our return home. Her dinner didn't have a toy. My father and my stepmother ended up having 2 daughters together. My father absolutely adored them. They were always dressed in Mickey and Minnie Mouse and usually always matched each other. One sister whom I will call in this book, or I called in this book, Tomboy, because growing up she was the tougher of the two, didn't care about all the pretty little bows and flowers all over the ruffled dresses and the cute little glitter jelly shoes. She cared more about making all of her brothers and sisters happy, and she would give up all her toys if it meant her sister wouldn't cry. We called her sister Girly Girl. This is my other sister, because that's exactly what she was. The two of them were inseparable. Girly Girl was definitely a daddy and nanny's girl, while Tomboy was definitely a Siti's girl. Siti absolutely loved Tommy Boy. Girly Girl was picky and hated getting dirty. Both of these sisters of mine, they're 11 months apart, and they are complete opposites. I'm not sure how they are now, because really we disconnected years ago, so I don't know them anymore. But from what I remember, there was a tomboy and there was a girly girl. And one had a heart of gold, and I'm sure the other one did too. I just didn't really connect to her as much. It gets deep. Okay, she and I never bonded, not like Tommy Boy and I. For the most part, all of us got along. Things went south when little Elmo and I were caught playing with each other in the toy room at Siti's house. She started giving us a stern look every time we walked by. She just looked at us different. And at that time, we still didn't understand why. And we really thought that what we were doing was normal. You can imagine how we feel now that we finally knew that what we were doing was bad. Siti put little Elmo on the bottom bunk and I was on the top bunk. little Baghdadi, Siti, Tommy Boy, and Girly Girl slept in this big king-size bed in the center of the bedroom. Right then, it was like little Elmo and I were different from the rest. It really wasn't a new feeling to us. Our entire lives thus far felt this way. I understood Arabic. I heard Cindy telling family friends about the incident, and those family friends with the kids that little Elmo and I just became friends with started avoiding us. We didn't hang out with them as much. Their parents were afraid for their kids. My dad wasn't told about any of this. I don't know why. Cindy started treating us like wild dogs, literally, when my father wasn't around. And then this is another narrative insert. Before we go down a road that I dread with my entirety, let me make clear that everyone in my life at some point is or was a victim of unfortunate circumstances. I still love them all. Okay, y'all, we all go through so much stuff. We have the choice whether or not we want to continue to be the victim or to heal and grow and have a higher perspective, a higher understanding of, life, and wake up. I chose to wake up. I chose to see things for what they were and to love unconditionally. That's what we wish for everyone, All right, so we're going to go on to chapter 3. Egypt. My most favorite place to ever go to in the universe. And when I'm there, I feel welcome. I feel at home, I miss Egypt. We traveled to Egypt a couple times as a family. It was one of the times Nanny got to be Nanny, and Siti wasn't around to antagonize the situation. Siti had a control over her daughter, and that was very unsettling. Whenever Siti was around, Nanny did as she said. That was another reason little Elmo and I always wanted to go wherever Nanny and little Baghdadi went. Nanny was a good mother to us when Siti wasn't around. We all boarded the Lufthansa, I remember that airplane, and headed to Egypt. Everyone was excited, and my dad would already be in Egypt waiting with the rest of our aunts, uncles, and cousins for our arrival. Nanny made sure we took turns sitting at the window to look over the clouds as we landed in Egypt. I watched as let me get situated. I watched as our plane glided over the beautiful Nile River on the landing strip. A sight that to me meant freedom, because back home with Siti, things really started getting weird. As we walked out of the terminal, we were greeted by my uncle Adil. He was my absolute favorite. At this time, he was getting sick, and the doctors in Egypt couldn't do the necessary procedures to medicate him and to cure him. Nonetheless, he still had the most loving and upbeat personality of them all. He absolutely loved me and little Elmo, and my father and him were very close. They were really close. When my uncle Hayadil finally passed on, my father was in complete shambles. I know my father wished he could have done more for my uncle as far as the medical treatment. My father felt guilty and wished he would have done more. Then there was my Aunt A and Uncle M and their 2 kids, Bus and Mo. My Aunt A's husband married a great man. My Aunt A's husband married a great man that gave them Okay, this is where it needs to be edited. My Aunt A married a great man that gave them a great lifestyle. However, my aunt, we're going to call her Med, and her husband, Uncle Hass, who had 3 kids, Meta, Summer, and Sarah, didn't have a great lifestyle. You could tell the difference between the 2 families. At times, Aunt A acted like she was too good and wouldn't get dirty. Bus was the same way, and Mo was a mama's boy. His mama made sure he was taken care of. This family was used to being catered for. I remember Bus getting yelled at by my Aunt A all the time. It was funny. I chose to spend the night with Aunt A and Bus every time we visited Egypt because Bus was allowed to do more than my other aunt allowed her kids to do. and all I wanted was freedom. Guys, mind you, my whole entire life, all I wanted was freedom. I wasn't like the rest. I needed to see the world. I needed to learn things on my own. You know? I know I'm not the only one. Alright. I know I'm not. Because I know that there's more out here. I know it. And I witness it every day. Okay, then there's my Aunt Med and Uncle Hess, who were not as well off as Aunt A and her family. Nonetheless, Aunt Med was real. She worked hard to keep her family afloat, and when we were in Egypt, she cooked some of the most amazing meals for us. She was like the mama of our entire family whenever we visited Egypt. She raised her kids well. All of my cousins helped in the kitchen when it was time to cook, and we all ate together. When it came to cleaning and dishes, we all pitched in and helped. You could tell my Aunt Med was tired. She overdid it sometimes, but that in itself brought her 3 children up to be extremely smart and strong. All right, guys, I want to go into a little bit of detail when I talk about my aunts and my uncles, because my Aunt Med and my Uncle Hess, they were the glue that held the family together in Egypt. They worked extremely hard, you know, and it was like, if you look at both sides of my family, or my 2 different aunts, my 2 different uncles, you can see that one had more money and the other one didn't have as much money. But you can see the money, the love versus the money. The bond that my Aunt Med and Uncle Hassan had with their kids that were brought up not as fortunate financially as my other aunt and uncle and their kids, you know, they come up growing up to have more morals, more integrity, and just more love, guys. Love is where it's at, not the money. Because, like, my aunt, my Busbus and her parents, they grew up kind of, well, the family as a whole, you know, judgmental. And they acted like their shit didn't stink and were quick to judge somebody, you know? But there's a difference. And this journey has taught me what I want to be like and what I don't want to be like. And guys, if I need more people to work from a heart space and to see things for what they really are so that you can actually heal and grow. Because if you stay stuck in a box judging everyone, having an ego, and just thinking that you're better than people, you know, you will never get to see the world. Never. So this is why it is so important for me to reintroduce myself, just to come out here and walk, talk, sleep, breathe truth, you know? Alright, Sarah, Summer, and Ham were her 3 amazing children. Sarah and Summer were absolutely beautiful, and Ham grew to be one of the strongest, most handsome young men I know. You could tell the difference between both families. You could feel the tension at times, but I was young and didn't understand why. I always thought we all were equal. See, this is how I always thought, you know, growing up. Yes, I'm a Libra, and I believe in balance and fairness. I love people, just like my father loved people. I didn't see color. I didn't judge, you know. I loved everyone, you know. And it sucks because I love these people when they didn't show me. I was deserving of this love too, you know? I always thought we all were equal, and I still believe this, you know? I don't care what anyone says. This is my heart. This is who I am. Now, you can choose whether or not you continue to associate with people. And there are a lot of people that I've had to cut off in my life to protect my peace, to set my boundaries, to love myself for once. All right. I always thought we were all equal. Then there was my Aunt Nag and her husband. We never really got to know her husband. He was always at work, and they lived in Dubai, a completely different city. They were never at the airport waiting for us. They always came later on in our visit. They had a son named I'm not calling out real names. Named We didn't get to spend as much time as we wanted to with them. Finally, there was Uncle Ian, Aunt Nad, and Dolula. Aunt Nad was absolutely stunning to me. She was a Russian and tall. Her health condition wasn't too great. Her Arabic wasn't precise. It was broken like mine and my brother's because Russian was her first language. Nanny was a huge history fanatic. She studied history in school, so she made sure our trip was filled with museums, pyramids, tours of the Sphinx, and historic sites. We got to see beautiful mosques. We had to take off our shoes and cover our heads before entering. We were showing respect to God. Living in Egypt for 3 months was hard for all of us. Our digestive systems had to adjust to the food, and our bodies weren't used to the heat. We all had diarrhea, y'all, and couldn't hold any food down. Tommy Boy had it the worst. She would have nosebleeds every time she got too hot. Girly Girl was just so damn picky. I love her, though. Nanny had her hands full. As I said, my father believed that the woman should take care of the kids, and that's what Nanny did. I will tell you this about Nanny, though, and I think I'm a lot like Nanny, too, because Nanny was curious and she loved history. She wasn't your average Egyptian Muslim wife. She was Americanized, she was modern, and we did get away with a little bit more than your average Muslim Egyptian family would be able to at times. She tried. Like, we weren't allowed to wear, I wasn't, because I was a female, I wasn't allowed to wear shorts above my knees, and she tried to sew on extra length to shorts. We'll talk more about this in a little bit, just to make me feel a little bit, like everyone else. Yeah. Nanny had her hands full. As I said, my father believed that the woman should take care of the kids, and that's what Nanny did. Let me get situated a little bit more comfortably. Guys, grab your drinks, grab your coffee, grab your tea. I want you to be comfortable so that you can take in what I'm reading, so that you can understand me on a truthful, honest level. Because I'm presenting myself to you in truth, with the purest of intentions. Because if I can make it out alive, so can you. So, grab your vape if you need to. See, I sound a little bit Alabamian. I'm so goofy. Okay. Alright. Just imagine the stress of getting 3 kids ready before going anywhere. Moreover, she would have to get her husband's clothes ready every day. Nanny did her best. Nanny did just as much work to keep the home together as best as she could. God bless her, We all got lice, and I remember Nanny treating everyone's head and combing the little bugs out of our hair. It took our family a month to adjust to everything in Egypt. My father owned a chalet in Egypt, and it was absolutely beautiful. Narrator insert. My father's chalet had our family name engraved in it, and without my knowledge, my brothers and my sister sold it when my father passed away. When I found out, I questioned my family on Facebook. Not only did little Elmo cut me off from the inheritance that my father had left me, he also sold the chalet my father worked extremely hard to leave for me. My siblings knew I wouldn't dare sell what my father worked so hard to leave us as part of the El Mrezi legacy. This chalet was supposed to be my home when I got older, and my father would tell me this as a child. He would say, Narcy, you can have whatever you want. You just have to listen. He also told me that no matter what was going on in my life, I would always have a home in Egypt. So, guys, we're going to talk about this some because I've healed from just the sadness of this. I get that every single thing happens divinely, and it does, you know? People cannot take what is destined for you. They can delay it, they can slow it down. But guys, nobody can play. Nobody can. They can think that they're playing the Most High's role, but they will not defeat God and God's plan. Guys, God has a plan, and there's a purpose and a reason why we go through every single thing that we're going through. I don't have resentment. I forgive and I love, you know? Yeah, I can feel when I read this narrator insert, I can feel I was upset, you know? But I have a better understanding. I have faith, you know? And when you get to that point in your life that your faith is so strong, nothing can break through it. Hi. Nothing can break through your faith, okay? You've got to get to that point in your life where the things that you acquire, nobody can steal from you. And you know, those things are free. It's happiness, it's love, it's faith, it's hope. One of the biggest things I had a problem with was giving my control up to God, you know? Because I had to know everything. I had to. But once I released all of my control, things started to get better and I started to understand things. And as I said, you got to see things for what they really are. I'm going to cut this video short. I'll be back. I love you.